The gospel reading from Luke, chapter 17, verses 11 through 19. To put this gospel into context, Jesus' mission includes making people clean again. Unexpectedly, a Samaritan healed of leprosy becomes a model for those who would praise and worship God and give thanks for God's mercy. The Holy Gospel according to Luke. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 people with leprosy approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." The gospel of the Lord. Good morning. Now, the gospel was in Luke this morning. And earlier in the gospel, in Luke, we learned that the Samaritans had rejected Jesus, didn't want to be bothered. But yet, it was a Samaritan who turned around and thanked Jesus. And really not just thank Jesus. And I'm sure the others were shouting with glee because they were made clean. They were healed. But the Samaritan came back. The Samaritan looked at Jesus and shouted, "Thank you," and laid at his feet. Can't you see the Samaritan crying and saying thank you at Jesus' feet? The question is, why did the Samaritan return? Why? Perhaps he returned because not only was he cured of leprosy, but he remembered. Maybe he remembered the looks he would get walking down the street, the looks of pity, the looks of judgment. This person remembered how it was before. Can you remember a time? It could have been in junior high. Oh, excuse me, now it's called middle school, right? High school. It could have been last week. Do you remember when someone possibly judged you without knowing you, without understanding you? Do you remember? The Samaritans had rejected Jesus, and this Samaritan came back and laid at his feet. And Jesus said, "This foreigner," I believe he said that for the benefit of others. I picture Jesus looking at his disciples saying, "This foreigner. I'm not just the Christ in Israel. I'm not just the God of Israel. I'm the God of all. Yes, even Jesus healed the Samaritan. And of all the people to come back and thank me, Jesus probably was saying, it was a Samaritan. And having leprosy was tough on the Samaritan. It was tough on them all. So let's dive a little deeper. Not only was the pain of the disease crippling, I suppose, but the Samaritan, his mother couldn't hug him anymore. Did he have pain because he saw his father's heart broken, or his mother's heart broken because of what he was going through? Was this Samaritan married? Were there kids? This had all been pain. Who would hire this person? How does one make a living? The Samaritan remembered the pain, not just of the disease, but the emotional wounds that the disease left behind. You know, some of the hardest wounds to heal are the wounds on our soul and not our body. In today's society, do we treat others as if they had the disease of leprosy? Perhaps those who have paid their debts to society and can't find a job. Those of us who are ignored because of our economic status, gender, race, or the community we belong to. Sometimes we can wear masks in public, and we can be great actors, right? Great actors, but how many wounds are we nursing? How many wounds still hurt deeply that no one can see? Jesus said, "You are clean," to the other 9 who had leprosy. And Jesus still healed them, even though there was no gratitude, because God's love, peace, and healing are given freely. That's who God is. But the Samaritan's faith made him well. I believe here being made clean is to be cured of the disease of leprosy, but to be made well. It is those inner wounds, the wounds that no one can see, but that you can feel. On the cross, Jesus has removed sin and death over us, therefore removing the power of those inner scars, the power that they have over us. The Samaritan is well because the emotional scars are healed. And the Samaritan cries at Jesus' feet because the Samaritan now realizes he can hug his mother. He can walk straight with dignity. He can exhale. How many times in our past has the Lord made us clean physically and made us well emotionally? Do we thank God? If so, how? Saying thank you is good, but I wonder if being thankful is better. How do we do that? Perhaps not being quick to judge, maybe volunteering, listening to a friend, being patient with others, and being patient with ourselves. We can say that we're not like the Samaritans because we didn't reject Jesus. But we all are sinners, right? And Jesus helps us anyway. Let's not look just to be healed, but let's also look to be made well. Many times on Sunday, God has made me well by coming here to good soil. The Lord used you to make me well. It could have been a kind word when I needed it, or a smile when we exchanged a peace. It could have been a sermon that God really needed me to hear that day, or a song that touched my heart. This is tough. We are family here at Good Soil. What do I feel when I enter the doors of Good Soil? I feel peace. I exhale. Because the world is tough out there. When I enter the doors, I know I'm entering God's house. I know I'm entering home. May God bless you. Amen.